Welcome to Horsepower Heritage. My name is Maurice Merrick, and thanks for listening. Shout out to Atlanta, Georgia, Chicago, Illinois, Springfield, Missouri, Santa Monica, California, Montreal, Quebec, Sydney, Australia, Nicosia, Cyprus, and last but not least, Wishaw, Scotland, just southeast of Glasgow. It's great to see the show getting a global reach, and I appreciate you guys leaving those 5-star ratings and reviews. And if you haven't reviewed the show yet, please take a minute and leave a quick line or two about how much you enjoy the show. Just a note on upcoming episodes. I'm thinking about taking a little bit of a break over the holidays because I've got a pretty busy shooting schedule before Christmas, and I've got research to do for some new storytelling episodes. Now, I may cook up a couple of short little pieces for you guys in the meantime, just to tide you over. We'll see. But for sure, Horsepower Heritage will be back with full episodes beginning Wednesday, January 6th, 2021. So hit that subscribe button and make sure you have your notifications turned on. And meet me back here on January 6th. All right. So today I've got part 2 of my interview with car collector Kip Cyprus. It's going to be a little different than other episodes because this one was sort of a tour of 4 cars in Kip's collection. Now, I won't spoil it by telling you which cars, but what we did was we sat in each car and Kip just shared his experiences with that car. Now, this is going to require a little imagination on your part, but if you want to see what we're talking about, you can head on over to my YouTube channel and see the full video in glorious living color. And don't forget to subscribe over there. So with that, I give you part 2 of my interview with car collector Kip Cyprus, right here on Horsepower Heritage. Let's hit it.
So Kip, tell us about the car we're sitting in right now.
This is a 1965 Shelby GT350, car number 194, roughly 400 were built. Really special car when it comes to rallies. It's one of the most recognized cars for muscle to be able to get on a rally. Not a lot of rallies you can get on with American cars, maybe a Cobra, but with the GT350 is the car you want. They always said, hey, this is America's first real muscle car for a Ford. And I always thought, yeah, whatever. I never really had the love for the Ford ponies, and but started to acquire the taste for one. But I wanted the best. These cars are really hard to find a good one because a lot of them were raced and they were banged up, and a lot of them were, because they became very valuable, kind of re-put together when they were past the point of no return. So finding something that's truly pure, and I have a really dear friend of mine that never sells his cars. He has a very well-known collection, and he collects cars that have a story behind them, something to say, or a history of importance. And he knew I was looking for a car, and he called me one day and he says, hey, I know you were looking for one of these cars. And he says, I don't ever sell my cars, but if it was going to go to a home, I'd want it to be in your home. And he says, if you want this car, he says, it's your car. And his name, a lot of people will know him, his name is Bruce Meyer, and he's kind of the face of the Peterson Museum. He bought it from the original owner, and Bruce had it for close to 40 years.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So you really know where it's been at that point.
Yes.
So I buy this car, funny story, and these things aren't cheap by any means for a Mustang. I buy the car, and it's during the 2020 COVID. Oh my gosh, we can't interact with each other. This is like February. And Bruce comes to the car and says, hey, if this is the car you want, you can have it. So I send Bruce the funds for the car. I go and call my insurance company, and I said, hey, can you cover this car? And I give them the amount, and they're like, you know, Kip, we really don't like sharing those cars without having more specifics and details on them, because there's so many cars that were rebodied. And I said, well, look at the title. The picture. I sent him a picture of a title because Bruce is in Beverly Hills. I'm here, and I don't have the ability to go get the car or the title. And nobody wants to be near anybody because it's March and we think we're all gonna die. So I wind up just doing it on good faith. He sends me a picture, or texts me a picture of the title. I send it to my insurance company. Say, hey, can you cover this car? I said, Kip, the authenticity of those cars really need to prove it up. And I said, well, look at the guy that owns it. And they said, well, we know who he is, but we still can't go on that. And I said, well, do it subject to me proving it up. And I'm thinking, I own cars that are 4 times the value of this. Why are we so worried about this? So she calls me back an hour later. Hey, Kip, don't worry about it. And I go, don't worry about it. Well, why the change of heart all of a sudden? Maybe Bruce will hear this. Well, Carol Shelby had borrowed it from Bruce a couple of times, and we insured Carol Shelby against Bruce.
Perfect.
So that was the neat thing about the car. And then I found some pictures of Carol and Bruce with the car and the booklet that of all the stuff that Bruce sent to me. So it's got some really neat stuff. And what means a lot to me is that Bruce, being as dear friend and that he is now, he chose me to be the next owner of this car. And knowing him, how special he is to me, it makes this car even better.
Well, and what's fantastic is he came to you.
Yeah. I honestly, I didn't even know he had it when I was looking for it.
Wow. Of course, Shelby's signature is on the dash.
And Bruce said to me that he took that over to Shelby's house or wherever, and Shelby signed that for him that way. And he says that thing is perfectly his real signature. It's not a bought one, printed.
At one time, if you sent your glove box door to Carol Shelby, he would sign it.
Apparently this one was hand delivered.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. But what's so special about this car is I never had one before and never drove one. But you've got a fiberglass floor pan inside and the back, and the fiberglass hood, and the car's light. And with the motor, the power to weight ratio, this truly is a muscle car. I had clones before, and they were always kind of a dog because whoever built them at the time didn't put the right stuff together, and it wasn't built like these are. When you drive a real one of these things, my gosh, this thing is a muscle car. It rocks.
Yeah.
And it handles like you cannot believe.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Your garden variety Mustang is all over the road. This thing handles.
Yeah, this thing handles.
Yeah.
This thing will chase down a lot of cars.
How about the manual gearbox on this car? It's a 4-speed.
It's a 4-speed. It feels real good. It's got the Detroit lockout.
Heavy clutch or?
No, not bad. It's noisy. You can hear everything through that back pan, but the sound on this thing is fantastic.
Was this car restored or is it mostly original?
He restored it in the late 80s.
Okay. It's authentic in every respect.
Oh, no, it's got all of its original parts. It has 6,000 miles. He's had it on a couple of rallies. So in the 40 years, he put 6,000 miles on it.
There's a center-mounted tachometer, pressure gauge on the dashboard in its own binnacle. And then other than that, your instrumentation is stock Ford.
Yeah, your horn.
Love it. AM radio.
So Bruce had the heater delete in here, but that's the original radio he had in a box. So I restored the radio. I like to hear, I don't like to rock in a car, but sometimes I like to hear a little radio. Not when you're on the highway, you can't hear anything. I like the fact that it is the original. It came with the car. Another thing, this is the original interior. That's how nice this car was. The door panels, the seats.
Yeah, it's immaculate. When you look down the hood of this thing, you don't see the end. I can see the hood pins, but there's a lot of real estate out there.
Yeah, and you notice the stripes are above the paint.
Yep.
I have a lot of learning to do with these cars, but I guess that's pretty important. You don't want to take this car and restore it perfectly. You'd wreck the value of it. We're just going to make this perfectly straight and try to make everything fit exactly. It would look funny. He was making race cars.
Yeah, absolutely.
We weren't going to the prom. The key is right there, and I bet this thing would start.
Well, let's do it.
Awesome, isn't it?
Fantastic. The whole car is twisting just a little bit under the torque. Yeah, it's definitely alive.
So we don't choke ourselves in here?
I love it.
Yeah.
Sounds fantastic. And on the road, opening it up, God, it must be amazing.
It's awesome. I've had a couple of hot laps around the block here at night when no one's around. But yeah, it handles fantastically.
So Kip, what are we sitting in now?
This is a 1957 Cadillac Biarritz. If you had one of these things, and you had definitely had some dough.
Yeah, this would have been the car out in front of the casinos in Havana in 1957.
Or it could be on the Strip in 1957.
This is like a rolling jukebox yacht. It is over the top.
It is the beast of chrome.
Total beast of chrome. I think this car is probably about 20 feet long.
It does have, I believe, the longest decklet of any car ever made.
Yeah, the trunk is immense. I wonder how many bodies we could fit in there.
A lot of them.
A whole basketball team at least. Yeah. What's special about this car to you?
The glamour of it. I always think of a Cadillac as having the long, swoopy fins, and the Brits, they call it the chipmunk cheeks tail, where it's kind of fat around the back, and then the melted little fins on the back, versus if you were to go with the Series 62, 1957 Series 62 convertible, you would have had more of a tail fin.
Right.
But the more I look at the car, it's the king for 57.
Yeah, so the rear end of this car slopes off, and the fins are almost separate. They're not as integrated as the standard.
Yeah, almost looks like a kind of afterthought, glue them on.
But now, so this was a special production model, right? This is first of all, top of the line.
Yeah, the production numbers on these cars, I can't remember, but it's very low. It's under a couple of thousand.
Right. It was kind of a flagship model.
And they're so expensive to restore. It's just trying to get these panels right, trying to get the chrome, the stainless steel under quarter panels. They're very difficult to one set doesn't fit the next car. So during restoration, it's extremely difficult. This is a high option car. It's a real white car. It's got AC. Anything you could have got is on this car.
Yeah, power everything. And it's got a fiberglass tonneau cover for the folding top. What's the history on this car? Where'd you find it?
Northern San Diego area. A gentleman was in the middle. It was his lifelong project to restore it. The car was, when I bought it, it was just a frame, a body, and tons of parts.
A stalled project,
and it was the worst thing to do to buy a car. Again, you learn from your lessons, from your mistakes. Don't buy a car that's in parts.
Right. Because this car was in boxes, it was disassembled. Did you get it for, a bargain price?
I don't think so, because these cars are dropping in value extremely. So a car like this probably has $400,000 in restoration in it when at the end of the day. And I think I paid $50,000 for the car or something. I can't remember. But when you add all that up together, and then the brain damage that goes along with it, it's pretty expensive. And sadly, these are the cars that are really falling in value. And if you want to get into, you want a lot of bang for your buck, buy a glamour car today.
And that's the way I look at it, is even though they're falling in value, it's an opportunity to get in to something really cool. And this is a great summer cruiser.
Absolutely. Being along the coast in Huntington Beach here,
unbeatable.
Fantastic. This is the car that you take to your local Cars and Coffee.
Probably everyone is looking at this car.
Yeah, people are real friendly. You get a lot of honks and horns. People want to, give you the thumbs up, and it gets a little nerving sometimes, because when you're driving a big car like this, it takes both hands on the wheel. It's not like your Honda. You really have to watch where you're going, because it's wide, and they don't stop very well. They don't accelerate as quick, and so you really got to pay attention. And they certainly don't handle well. The body roll is incredible, but they're smooth. They feel fantastic, and that's where you want to be, on PCH with no one around you going down.
Talk about an awesome view. I mean, the windshield it feels like it's a long distance away. It's a wraparound, but it kind of falls away from you. I feel like we're in it, we're down in it. Like, how some convertibles you feel like almost like you're on top of it. So I feel like we're down in it, but yet the visibility is awesome. It's got these fantastic, huge vent windows, which are powered, I'm sure.
Everything on this thing's powered, all the way down to the seat.
Anything else we should say about this one?
The key's in it.
Let's do it.
See if it'll start.
Start her up.
This one's been a while. Pretty good, huh?
Right on the button.
Yeah.
First
The
try.
hydraulic. You know, General Motors, Cadillac. Every single one of them, they're hydraulic lifters. When they're haven't been running a long time, they're cold. They have to wait till they pump up. It takes about 15 minutes.
Wow.
And, you know, even the Pontiacs, the Oldsmobile, it's real common.
Let's compare this to the 60, which is a couple cars down from us. Are they very different?
Completely different.
Really?
Yeah. The 60, it made it over the evolution into more of a drivable car. This car is not a car that that I can drive comfortably in. Today the cars accelerate faster, they stop faster. So if you look at a car from stoplight to stoplight, we go faster and we stop harder now. Our brakes are bigger, the cars are designed more, because we're turning into a giant video game, and we're the star of it.
Yeah.
These cars don't have the 57, so you have to be careful on this. You get to the 60s cars, the braking ability, the handling becomes better, and the 60 is it doesn't have nearly the body roll. Acceleration is much better. It's got and the handling is really good. The 60 LO Barrettes, they were air ride cars. Air ride was an interesting time. It came out in '57 in the Brougham. I have a Brougham. It's not here, and it basically is it's an air ride system. It's an accumulator tank that fills up the bags on the at the A arms in the rear,
right?
And it's called level ride, and it basically keeps the car so you really
it
feel like you're riding on
all four
and you really
corners.
feel like you're riding on air though. I mean, it
Nice.
really does give you a heck of a ride.
By the way, there's one thing in this car that's emblematic of the era is there's ashtrays in every corner, aren't there?
Yeah.
But, see, there's one here.
Yep.
There's a lighter in the on the passenger side. There's a
right there.
lighter in the middle of the dash.
You know, the Brougham has a liquor kit, where you can,
Nice.
and it comes with the car. Every Brougham came with it. They had it's like a little
Crystal decanter.
and it had a decanter, and then it had for your shot glasses, and you can put down the glove box, and your shot glasses sit on the glove box, and so that way everyone can have a cocktail as you're driving down the road.
All right. Well, why wouldn't you want one?
Yeah.
The
Brits didn't get it. You had to get the Brougham. You had to really step it up.
The glove box is most of the passenger side of the car. It's huge.
You can put your both shoes in there at one time.
Absolutely. Yeah, fantastic. There's something about wraparound windshields. That was a styling trend that...
And efficient too.
All right, Kip, so we're sitting in a 64 Volkswagen microbus. And this is a deluxe.
Never thought I'd have something like this.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Bought it 20 plus years ago at a car auction for somewhere in the neighborhood of $25,000.
Wow. You made out.
And I haven't touched it.
Really?
This is one car I've never restored. It could use a good restoration, but you'd be throwing good money after bad.
I can't see any faults.
There is, but you know what? I have so much fun with this car the way it is because you really don't worry about when you're using it.
Yeah.
You can. I go down. I don't care what the weather's like. I don't care about who's getting in and out of it. I don't care if we scratch it.
Right.
And you know what? That's the way these things are used anyway.
Absolutely.
If you think about it in the day. What of any car would you say that can bring all people together in the automotive collecting hobby?
Well, even people outside the hobby, just regular people, love VW buses. I mean, everybody's of a certain age rode in one or drove one.
Just even Volkswagens.
Yeah.
Exactly that. It doesn't matter what you have or what you are into driving or collecting. Somewhere, your aunt, your friend, this is the only way you could get around town. You had a VW.
Definitely.
Somebody had a VW and you rode in it.
It's a friendly car. Everyone loves them. So, like, for example, if you're driving down the road in a Ferrari, some people are going to think, look at that jerk in the Ferrari. But no one ever says, look at that jerk in the microbus.
Yeah. Well, I like to think about it. The guy goes out and he spends several $100,000 on that Ferrari, and he's cruising down PCH and thinking, "Oh man, I'm the king. Look at me!" And then this thing rolls by, and everybody, they don't even see that Ferrari. People just get glued. There's a certain love for Volkswagens. You know, the Herbie. You know, Herbies are when it comes to the bugs, it just it touches everybody at one point or another in their lives.
Totally. And you know, even little kids who don't really know anything about cars are attracted to Volkswagen. These are so simple and so much fun. I love driving microbuses. You're sitting right on the nose.
It's the most dangerous, oddest thing you could drive. And if you're in wind in this thing, I've gone down the road on windy days, it'll do a lane change on you so fast, you have no control on it. But when I bought this car, my friends, at that time when I bought this car, I was really into this muscle still. And it was going down the auction block, and I thought, you know, that thing is so cute. I've always been intrigued by them because they are interesting looking cars. And the car sold, and what I paid for it at the time, my friends were like, are you crazy spending that kind of money? I mean, why would you spend that kind of money on a Volkswagen? And I say to a lot of them right now, I go, who's laughing now?
Totally.
You know?
Because they've broken six figures. Well, they broke six figures a long time ago.
Yeah, a long time ago. Yeah, some of these things go for $250,000 depending upon what it is. You know, this one is not at that level, but it's definitely worth 4 or 5 times what I paid for it. And there's not too many cars I have that I can say that. The scene's always been big to a lot of people, but the collectability and the values weren't there yet.
Right. I remember when I was in college, you know, you could still pick these up for $5,000 and $10,000 in really good shape. Mm-hmm. And then they skyrocketed.
It comes back down to, what did you remember when you were young? And it's that car that gives you that feeling of remembering your best days, and you want to get back to it. And this brings a lot of people back to those days: surfing, beach, just getting around, or low pressure in life.
Yeah, you can haul all your friends and a couple of dogs and all your gear and have a great time.
This has been the greatest car for training. People that don't even know how to drive a manual transmission. They're so forgiving. The bus gearboxes, I've taught all my kids how to drive on these things, and all their friends, and it's a fantastic trainer car for.
The other thing I love is the wheel is practically in a flat orientation. It's just so much fun to haul it around, and it's got a great diameter, because there's no power steering in these, so you need that big wheel. But
we could be injured by a bicyclist.
100%.
They're neat little things. This one this is a 21 window, and it's got a rag top. The more sought after model would be the 23 window, where you had the 2 windows in the back corners.
Right.
And but the 20 window is pretty cool still. And it's got a lot of cool practicality. The engine's all the way in the back, and you go, how do you get the heat up here? Believe it or not, when you're running, it through forcing the air through the exhaust, it has a way to push it back up through a duct, and we can get this thing to warm up pretty good.
Oh yeah, the heaters in these are great.
It's actually the summertime it's terrible.
Yes.
The wintertime is not bad.
And you've got seating for 9 plus, actually.
Yeah.
You could probably fit 11 in here if you really wanted to. And it's got a lot of cool little bells and whistles. I mean, you've got the Safari windows in front, which were a fairly rare option at the time. But
I don't know, on this car, if someone's had a good time with this car, because a lot of the stuff that's chrome should have been painted. The Safari, it has welds in here where the bracketry, so I'm not sure if it was always a Safari or somebody made it a Safari, but it was 20 years ago when I got it. So
yeah,
and it was an older restoration when I got it. So who really knows,
Must be great with the rag top open.
Yeah, it's fun. The kids, twice a year or so, we all pile in this thing and we cruise all the way down to Laguna, and go have a late lunch or dinner, and we have a great time.
Nice.
And the kids, everyone likes to trade off driving it, so we switch around, and it's fun, you know.
That's
but
awesome.
you know, when you don't have to worry about. There's a lot of cars you have to worry about when you're driving. You know, guys going around, you like the Cadillac. You know, you don't want to push it, so you're going to drive slower. People get a little irritated. What's with this guy? And they're going around it. When someone comes up behind a bus, a Volkswagen bus, they automatically know. Don't follow this guy because he's going to hold everything up. I mean, and they're not even mad at you. They just know, go around that. It's like a traffic obstacle that's natural.
Yeah, everyone accepts that they're slow and they just give you your space.
Yeah, all 35 or 30 horsepower, whatever these things have.
Yeah, I think this one is a 40 horse. You said it was a 64?
64.
Yeah, so I think that had been a 40 horse. But, you know, the first buses were 25. Mm-hmm. They went 25, 36,
I think
and then 40.
There's a 52 Beetle, a 1952 Beetle that's got the split one on that. I think that's 27 horse. I want to say this might have been 36 horses or something.
You want to do a walk around on the Beetle?
Why, certainly.
All right, let's do it. All right, Kip, what are we sitting in now?
We are sitting in a serious hot rod.
Okay.
1952 Volkswagen split window. I would say ragtop, but the Volkswagen guys would refer to it as a crotch top.
And why is that?
Folds in 3 different sections. High option car, semaphores, the signals,
Right.
the radio,
Telefunken.
It's got the side vents for the air side vents. Really nice car and an incredible restoration. This car I acquired from Volkswagen shop. That this was his baby, the owner of the shop. You know, when you see something that's just over the top, it really doesn't matter. If you can get your hands on it, you buy the very best. And this for a 52 very rare car is the very best.
So these are rare cars even as a standard, but this is a deluxe model.
Yes, and I want to say that there was only a few hundred of these.
And was this a USA car?
That's a good question. I can't answer that.
Well, it does. The speedometer is in miles per hour,
So it would be. Yeah.
That's a pretty good clue.
Yeah, it's the original motor. I mean, he was really into making sure that the car was as authentic. That's what he does. So yeah, that would be the telltale, the speedometer.
The steering wheel on this, by the way, is very elaborate for a Volkswagen Beetle. So it's got, first of all, it's a banjo 3-spoke wheel, and it's got a horn ring. Let me try the horn here.
No, the power's off.
Oh, that's right. It's German. It's got dual glove boxes. All of the knobs are kind of a beautiful white Bakelite. Dual smoked sun visors. The interior is really nice. Really nice car. How is it to drive?
Don't be in a hurry. You know, it's got the grandma gear as you pull out, and it's not bad. Once it gets going, it's kind of a momentum car. All 27 horsepower.
The vintage VW guys have to go nuts when they see this.
Yeah, it's won many shows. I feel pretty fortunate to have it because it does mean more to a lot of other people that are purists than me, because I was never really a Volkswagen guy. Like we talked about before, the Volkswagen is something that is in common with so many people.
Yeah, it's universal.
And especially a bug. This was a had-to-have car. And I danced around the fire for several months with this guy on this car.
He didn't want to let it go.
He wanted to let it go, but he wanted even more money than I paid, which was record as it was.
Right.
But, you know, a car like this right now, I mean, just if you can find a 52 split window and it's solid, you're going to spend $50,000-$60,000 probably just to get your hands on the car before you restore it.
Right.
And then, so to think about, you know, getting a car like this with all the options, the radio, everything, and it's done right.
Super cool car. Well, Kip, thanks again for having me at the collection. First of all, really impressive. And second of all, the fact that you drive all these cars is just awesome. There's a lot of collectors that are missing out. So you guys should take a lesson from Kip. Don't be afraid to drive them. Life is too short, right?
That's right.
Kip, thanks a lot, man.
Thanks for coming, pal.
All right, you guys, that'll do it for this episode, and we'll see you on the next one.
Don't forget to subscribe to Horsepower Heritage and click that 5-star rating. Every rating and review helps me reach more gearheads like you. Until next time, I'm Maurice Merrick. Thanks for listening.